Hi, so you want to be a website rock star, how to develop an authoritative website that drives inquiries. The reason for the title basically is, rock stars, obviously they perform around the world, they've got an adoring client base or fans, and it's very representative of how a website can perform for you, because basically you want to target lots of individuals that are obviously your target audience, so they become your clients and customers, and they engage with your brand. So what we're going to focus on are some real big hints and tips with how to develop an authoritative website. And our mindset really is here at Mr. Flynn Creative: just do it. Don't procrastinate. We can research, we can identify a target market for you. Through Google research, we can understand the volume of traffic that people are using to find services like yours. So it's really important that once presented with that information, from our perspective, that things continue and you optimize your site so it can be found, and you engage with your target audience and you drive them to your ideal call to action. So I've tipped my hat a little bit as well for the Just Do It for Nike in the 90s, and Neville Brody, he was the designer that worked on the Nike campaign. Neville Brody's work, if you don't know, is a UK graphic designer, and he's worked on some amazing stuff and was very influential in the 90s for ourselves and other designers. So a little bit about me. I worked in the industry 25 plus years. I've presented solutions to clients such as Virgin Media, BBC, the National Trust, Severn Trent, and locally in the area, Shropshire County Council, Nick Jones Wealth Planning. I've also worked for clients that are in Derby and wider afield as well, in London and in the east of the country. And I've been in the industry, as I say, for 25 years. So I've worked online, I've worked in print, lots of branding projects, graphics projects, digital SEO projects as well. And what we focus here at Mr. Flynn is really, it's about the client. It's understanding what is your story, where you got to, where you are, what you want to achieve. Maybe your current website or your current brand needs an uplift, or maybe if you've been in business 2 or 3 years, maybe you're at the stage now where you just kind of think, well, we need to really evolve what we've done here and go after our customer base, our ideal target market, because now we really know what we're after. Sometimes it takes, a couple of years to understand how your services sit with your ideal target market, and what you thought maybe an avenue of your business, you kind of prefer another avenue to your business, and you want to go after that. So everything has to represent what you want to be doing. So that's what we focus on. It's all about you, the client, and what you want to do, and then we bring our experience, our talent, knowledge to the table to help you. So, in terms of kind of digital marketing online, there's several things to consider. What we're mainly going to focus on is your website and search engine optimization. You've got pay-per-click, paid advertising as well. There's no point doing paid advertising if the advert is taking somebody to a page that isn't representative of the ad, or actually it's not an engaging page, it's not an authoritative website page. There's no relevant structure to it, and you're not channeling people to your ideal call to action. This is known as a user journey as well. So lots of things come into play when you actually want to evolve an inquiry generating website. Along with that, to help your SEO, we refer back to things like social media, to blogging, to content strategy, and also to get your name out there, email marketing as well. Understanding your website analytics, your Google Analytics, and its reporting, because sometimes a page is performing incredibly well, other pages not so well, so how can we make them perform better? And without this kind of analytical understanding, where we understand demographics, keyword search, your bounce rate, how many people just look at the one page, don't stay on it for very long, and then disappear into the ether to a competitor's site. So it's really important to understand how your site's performing, and over time it can be evolved further So it's even more authoritative, and so you capture even more traffic that's coming to your site, and also you generate more traffic because you begin to understand real kind of small cogs in the bigger system, really, that you can help tweak and turn to make your pages and your website and therefore your business even more successful. One of the things that people don't really focus on is the hosting. We host our clients' websites, and the reason we do that is a lot of clients come to us that are in that kind of 2 or 3 year been in business, want to move on. Maybe they're hosting with what we would refer to as one of the high street resellers, so like 1-on-1, 123 Reg, etc., etc. They're good to get you off the ground, but you need to leave them behind as you evolve your business. A lot of the time when we do a reverse IP lookup is it shows us who's sharing your server, the kind of businesses that are sharing your server, and we can investigate those a little bit. And it's surprising how many hooky businesses there are out there. Businesses that don't have up-to-date websites as well. Businesses that are kind of helping to drive malware, or maybe they are actually in the business of something that you wouldn't want to align yourself with. Now, the fact that you're up there on your server doesn't obviously mean that the wider public is not going to know. But from our perspective, those kind of sites, they attract hackers, they attract malware. So actually your site potentially would be targeted. So if you don't keep it, if you don't keep the plugins, if you don't keep the CMS up to spec, then that can be a real issue. And when we talk about CMS, we refer to WordPress. We use WordPress throughout everything that we do. It's the number one tool and to build sites, and it's got literally thousands and thousands of plugins that you can use to help evolve your site. And most of them are free as well. Some are paid, the premium ones. And we have a bank of really great plugins to help you on your website journey. So if we move on to the next page, let's have a look at how SEO ranking works. Search engine optimization, SEO. So we mainly focus on organic search engine optimization. The reason we call it organic is because we embed everything into the site, and we encourage, we've already done research at that stage in keywords and keyword phrases that's going to influence traffic to your site. So we know that there's a certain volume of people looking for certain search terms because we can research this through Google, and then we can apply those search terms to each of your pages. And we generate what we refer to as a keyword cluster. So you'd have your main keyword search, and then you have longer tail keyword searches. Longer tail just means that there's more words, so it's more specific, but still there are people searching for those specifics. And if you have some competition online, like you want to be in the top 5 on page 1 of Google for a particular search phrase, if some of your competitors have been around for a long time and they've got really great sites and there's lots of content and they continue adding to it, and then they're doing loads of YouTube and external stuff that Google will look to as well, this means that it's a bit of a tough call. However, if we can identify the kind of business that you want in relation to keyword phrases that people are searching for, it can become really apparent that actually you don't need to be popular like your competitors' sites are for a particular keyword phrase. We could go after something slightly different, something slightly niche, and more long-tail keyword phrases that actually means that you're incredibly popular. And although there's not so much traffic, they're specifically looking for those kind of services. So it kind of means that they're going to come to your site because you're saying you are the specialist, you're the best at doing this kind of service or selling this kind of product, whatever it might well be. And you will top trump those competitors. They may not even feature on that list that people will see, and so click through to your site. Now, of course, when someone clicks through, you've got to engage them. So your website pages need to be authoritative website pages. You need to have certain things in place, and you need to direct the user journey into a clear call to action. So we'll go into that a little bit more in a short while. But firstly, how SEO ranking works. So everybody gets involved with social media, and social media does aid your SEO ranking, but only by 3.5%. Now, social media is a subject on its own, but very quickly, if you're using things like LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, lots of different ones, then firstly you need to define what's best. Who's your target market? Where do they hang out? Are you using them to the optimum? Because if you post, say, once every 3 days to LinkedIn, that's okay. Once a day to LinkedIn is fine. Maybe even once a week you get away with if it's good quality content and maybe a few other messages dispersed in between. But something like Twitter, for instance, you need to be using it sort of 3 to 5 times a day, and there's also specific times where certain client target audiences, your potential client base or customer base, are going to be online and more receptive. So it's actually, there's lots of theory now and social science when it comes to social media. So that's an avenue to look at. But what happens with social media? It's very easy to put a message out there, and I would say probably a lot of businesses put messages out there without any real strategy, and maybe advertise through social media because it's easy to do so. You can spend £30 and get your message, your advert in front of people, but are they the right people? You can get it in front of thousands of people, but they might not be the right people. So it's actually a strategy by itself, and we do this for clients. So if that's of interest, give us a shout. Now, reviews. This is an under-resourced and underused tool, really. So there are third-party companies out there like Trustpilot, and if you've got an applicable service, people can rate you, and you can encourage people to rate you and direct them, and then implement a plugin so that those reviews drop onto your site, and they will influence your SEO ranking. Google is really clever. Wherever your accounts are, you will harness them and pull them together. And Google is nothing more really than I kind of refer it and describe it to my clients as it's a reference tool. It's nothing more than if you went into a library and you were looking for a specific book. It's how you tag things and whether you've got relevant content in there. So that's why website content is basically in the first position at almost 50%. So SEO ranking works with what's on your site, how often you update your site, how unique is that content, and whether you've tagged, whether the pages and the website has all been tagged as a sitemap, it's secure. All of these things that Google looks for, and there are several, there's probably about 15 things that Google will look for in a website. And then it comes down to the content. And then, of course, if you're attracting people, you want a good user journey. You want to direct people to the right call to action. So 50% almost of your ranking comes down to the site itself. So if your site is not ticking all of the boxes that Google looks for, and then of course it's not engaging with people, then it's not going to be an inquiry generating website, and it kind of means that 50% is not harnessed, and people that come to your site are not going to become a customer or a client. So it's a real shame. You're missing out on so much potential new business. So at 28%, links coming into your site. So if you're with business directories or anything like that, that's very helpful if you're a member of your local chamber. If you've got any kind of great PR going on, and then you've got like links from newspaper sites going into your site, that's really great as well. And we refer to this as link juice. And link juice is really a great thing to get involved with. And it's based on a backlink strategy as well. So it's links on other sites that link into your site, but you want links from authoritative sites, not just links any old way or fashion. And there are companies that will quite readily take your investments of a few £100 a month or whatever it might well be, with your backlink strategy or with adding content to your site, whatever it might well be. And they will show you lots of great statistics from Google. Maybe the searches have increased, or people are clicking through more often, and you've got more of a target audience, etc. But actually, you really need to kind of sit down, maybe take advice from a few people, because what is good for them might not be good for your site. Because although they might be getting people to click through your site, if your site isn't what specifically they're looking for, they will leave. So that's what we refer to as a bounce rate. So they'll look at one page and then go. because it's not containing relevant content. And you've got about 3 to 8 seconds to gain trust with people that land on your site before they move somewhere else. So we talk about the authority website page elements in a little while, and that will show you how to design a much better page and whether your website pages are in line with something like this. Because if they're not, they're just going to be weak, and the more that's left out, the weaker they become. So yeah, and an SEO agency, they might be incredibly successful, which is great, but we have come across a few SEO agencies. They're not doing the best for the client. I had a client as well that was spending almost £1,000 per calendar month on Google advertising, and they were getting a huge amount of traffic to their website, and they ran it for just over a year. And then we reviewed what they were doing, and we basically told them to stop. And the reason we told them to stop is that their adverts, yes, it was pulling in lots of traffic, but it was pulling in low-level traffic. So the kind of people that were clicking through just didn't have the budget to buy their services. And also they were not landing on the relevant page. They were just being taken to a home page. And many SEO agencies still do this. They take the traffic to a home page when in fact they should be dropping them into a sub-page, a service page, an authoritative service page that is there to convert. But also the adverts themselves, they need to appeal to the relevant target audience. And footfall, it's that vanity thing. You kind of think, well, I'm getting loads of people into the look of the draw is going to be, I'm going to get about 5% of that traffic that goes into the site. But it just doesn't work like that. People need to, they will not come back if they drop into a site and it's not telling them what they thought it was going to be. So they'll be off and they will not come back. And the other thing is Google My Business Listing. Now, most companies have this, but interestingly, it's almost 3 times as much at 9% as social media in terms of an influencing factor for your SEO ranking. So if you've got a Google My Business Listing, that's great, but are you using it? Because you can add more content consistently, you can put offers on there, you can do all sorts of different things. So people, I think, business owners and so on, they'll rush into social media because it's easy. Well, actually, if you're strategizing, you're going to get far more SEO kudos over time as well if you're actually looking to your Google My Business Listing page and actually put in some of your offers, put in some of your blogs, some of your new services, updated imagery, pictures of products, people, etc., services into your Google My Business Listing. So that's something that a lot of businesses don't do. So if you're not doing it, then it's a great thing to get involved with. Have a look at doing something like that. And if you can't do it yourself or you reach your limit, then contact a company like us because we can help you. So the backbone to an authoritative website and an authoritative website page, like a service page, there are 4 core areas that we review. Okay, so you may want to review your own site. We can review your site from an automated basis. So we can look technically at your site and if it's built correctly and is it marked up correctly for Google, etc., etc. Is it the security up to spec? Is it fast enough? Because Google also looks to speed. And these discerning factors, they become more and more important the more tick boxes that you've done. So for instance, if you still can't get on to page 1 of Google and you're wondering, you're scratching your head why, it could well be that your competitors have, for instance, they've had the domain longer than you, bit of kudos there, they've got more pages on their site, kudos there because Google loves content. They may have something plugged in from Trustpilot, so those reviews that are ongoing will boost their rankings. They may have more listings than you. They may have a backlink strategy that they've implemented a while ago, but it's still serving them well. So there's lots of things to consider. So when we actually break it down, it's not just your site itself, but it's what we call on and off site optimization. So we holistically look at your site and where you are and what you want to be popular for and who your competitors are. A lot of the time when we review competitors, we can actually quite easily top trump them and get you further up the listings. There are some that are really difficult to knock off. You know, if they've got lots of YouTube videos, for instance, that's really difficult to top trump unless you do something similar. YouTube is, I think, the second or the third largest search engine used now. So, you know, video, it really is something that you need to be involved with, and obviously it helps engagement on your site as well. So we'll just drop through these a little bit. So, number one, reach. So how will your target audience find you? So your marketing aspects, where are they, you know, where do your target audience hang out? Are you targeting them in the right places? And if you're not, what can we do? So you need a kind of like a digital marketing strategy. So you reach, how are you going to find them? Now, if you've got organic search engine optimization, they will find you. That's the benefit. So you may kind of be involved with quite heavily outreach strategies. So you're putting messages out there and hoping that people will click through and come to you. But actually, there's people out there that need your services right now and they're searching for it. So this is all about bringing an audience to you and engaging with them and converting them. Engagement factors, why will they trust you? So, you know, how long have you been in business? How do you do things differently? Are you open? Is there clarity in what you do? Can people find you? Can they call you easily? All of these things very quickly build trust. And as I said before, you've got 3 to 8 seconds to gain trust with someone for them to move on. So you need to engage with them. Your page has got to engage with them rather quickly. Conversion, how will they contact you? So we talk about a user journey, and we talk about how important it is for directing people to your ideal call to action. So you need to have things like phone numbers that are you know, really obvious and easy to see, but it really is about how you want to convert them. And so that, you know, you've got to make sure the strategy is correct. So if you want someone to fill in a short form, what is the motivating factor? Why should they bother? Are they getting something for free? That's always a bonus. If we understand the target audience, is it something that they really want? Is it a value to them? Is there a free download, for instance, that you could put on your site? Maybe a how-to or free hints and tips. People can download it and then come back to your site once they've read it in the comfort of their own home, in their own time, so they don't feel pressured. So they can come back to you. So it's about understanding your business, but understanding your target audience as well, and understanding your experience of your business and how you want to do business. And then security. We touched on the hosting element, but also there's things like making sure that your website is secure. You're probably aware now that if you haven't got an SSL certificate in place, a browser will notify the user to say this website is not secure. Do you really want to progress? So straight away you've lost people looking at your site. So there's lots of things to consider with security, and more it's actually affecting the above, because of course if people can't come to your site because it's not correctly secured and the browser's telling them so, you're not going to engage them, you're not going to convert them, so it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time and effort. So everything has to be in place and correctly done. So here's an example of an authoritative web page wireframe. Now this is just basically to give you an overview, to show you the kind of elements that we're looking for. Now for each business it might be different because of your target audience. You know, there's room basically to move the elements around, to change things a little bit as regards your target audience, as regards the user journey, etc. But until we know the business and until we know the potential target market, then you know, this is a good baseline to start from, and it's a good thing to kind of reflect back into your site. You know, what have you got going on with your site pages, and is it something similar? You know, how many things are you missing? Can you make your sites more accessible, engaging, with a clear call to action, etc.? So these are elements that help you become a website rock star. So we mentioned these 3 key areas in the last section. So reach elements. To the right, we've put them, you know, you can see them in red, and engagement elements are in blue, conversion elements in green. So reach elements, keywords in page titles, content, and meta description. If you've not heard a meta description, it's a description that is a certain amount of characters long that describes what the page is about, and within that you include your keyword phrases. Now your keyword phrases come research that we've done through Google Analytics. We therefore historically understand how many people are searching for those kind of phrases, and we apply a phrase per website page. So each website page has its own keyword phrase, and ideally your keyword phrases are a cluster. So they kind of repeat a keyword phrase but also have additional words that people are looking for also, and I'll go into that in a little while. We're taking the idea here that someone is looking for dog training in Derby and how that will work through. So we've got keywords in page titles, content and meta descriptions. So if you were doing your page, you would have dog training in Derby within the testimonial or the main headline that's used. We refer to that as it has to be marked up as a H1 header. And then other headings below it should be H2 and then H3, etc. In terms of creating content, people don't want solid clumps of text. So it's important that you have short sentences, bulleted text, or numbered text, if you've got lists, etc. And you break it up with graphics and you put information in bands. So we refer to this as a band of information, this is a band of information, and generally a good engaging page will have several bands of information that help tell the story of the business. So that page alone is strong enough for someone to look at and go, I want to do business with these guys. So of course we're taking into consideration that your site has been built in fully responsive mobile friendly framework. Now interestingly, when we run reports on sites, you'll be still surprised how many have frames or aren't built in fully responsive mobile friendly templates. So effectively you're already at a disadvantage with Google and your competitors, so that has to change. So it's important to assess those elements, the fundamental elements that are important. The map and the exact address, contact numbers on every page, it's so that people can see you, they trust you, they know where your business is. And this is the same for internal pages, because somebody might come into your site on the about page or on a service page. If your service pages are performing well, they will be popular for a particular keyword search term. So someone will see that and then click through. So unless that contains all of those relevant reach elements, engagement elements, conversion elements, then it's not going to work for you. It's not going to be an inquiry driving page. So important for every single page, as are engagement elements. So a clear USP. Now we've put here ideally as a testimonial because you've got social proof. People love social proof, and people are more inclined now to read reviews over and above how you review your site. So all of the positive messages you put out there via social media, etc., can be dampened down by having some poor reviews. So if you've got some real good positive stuff and people are prepared to put their name to it and even their face, that could be a really great thing to have as one of the main first things that someone sees. Equally though, you could quite clearly have a captivating title and a subheading text to summarise your service that has relevant keyword structure within it, and have the testimonial a little bit further down. This depends on the business and the kind of target audience that you're going to be working with, because people that are selling things like dog training is obviously difficult if you're buying a big ticket item, maybe like a car or a plane ticket or something like that. So a testimonial might not be the right thing. It might not be ultimately what they're searching for. So each target market is different, and so your pages have to reflect that to some degree as well. If you have a target market for one service and it's different for a target market to another, that has to be assessed. And not every authoritative page in terms of its structure may be the same. So like if you've got a demographic of a young audience, they may well, and we may well advise that you have certain aspects, what we call above the line. So when someone lands on your site, what do they see immediately within their screen? We call that above the line, which is basically about something like this. here, as I'm indicating across. This is what they see when they first land on the site. And what could be relevant content for a younger audience, a younger demographic, let's say, I don't know, 18 to 24, might be completely different if you've got a service that is for retired people. They may be looking for different things. I mean, they will be. And they may well have different motivating factors that then has to be applicable to your content and the hierarchy of information, you know, what people see as they scroll through your site. So every target audience is different, the demographic is different. Even if you're the same company, you know, and switching these things around, it's amazing how it helps conversion rate. You know, you can increase your conversion rate 50, 80%. Just by, you know, switching things around and considering what the client is after, your potential customer, what do they value, and how and where do they find that information. So we want clear, minimal navigation. So we put in a sort of 5 areas here. If you've got a really large company, you could have a 2-tiered navigation. So you've got a smaller navigation, you know, above it, or you could kind of think to yourself, you're going to have a drop-down menu where you're going to put a lot of your other pages that are relevant but not so important as your main authoritative pages, and you're going to put them in a menu, and when somebody clicks in, it says more, they can see them in there. And you can structure it with headlines as well, so you can click more and it opens up a box. You've probably seen that, and there's different headings within that box. And different menus that you can click on, because basically you need to strip it back. People really need to see this call to action and these trust icons. So the trust icons, these are things that, you know, generally people have them in the footer area of the site. You know, they're more resigned to places down here, but actually if you generated an authoritative page and you've got 3 to 8 seconds to tell someone that they're in the right place and they feel trusted and they want to read more, you need your trust icons a lot further up, and we would say within the landing, viewable above the line of your website, because it will motivate them. They will feel trusted. So if they're looking for a recycling company, for instance, and you've got ISO, whatever it might be, 9001, 2, 5, whatever it might well be, it's great that it's down in your footer, and it's good for other pages, and we'd still have it down in your footer. But actually it needs to be up here as well. You need to shout that you're ISO registered, because actually what your page is there to do is to break down the hurdles of people engaging with you. So your whole page needs to break down what are common hurdles for your target market, and we need to get over them. We need to help them over them. And one of those things is trusting you. So if you've won any awards, if there's really something quite unique and special, then it needs to be in here, and people will trust you and then begin to read on, because engagement isn't about have they seen your page, but are they actually engaged with the content and moving through your page, because actually they're quite impressed and they want to work with you. So those are real important factors, not someone scrolling right down to the bottom as quickly as possible, but actually there's bits of information in there that is going to increase their trust in you, increase their engagement, and actually make them think, you know what, I'm on this site and I want to do business with these guys, so I'm gonna complete their call to action. Testimonials for social proof. So as we said, we've got a testimonial in the heading here as well, which is it helps with the clarification of the USP. But we've not reflected it here, but you could have a band of testimonials, and the testimonials can change as someone scrolls down the page. So people trust no social proof. A few years ago, people used to say, oh, testimonials are all made up, don't trust them. But because of things like Trustpilot, and if you can bolt that into your site, and we'd recommend it, then that will help you both from an off-site SEO perspective, from an organic search, because it's increasing your kudos to your site, but also it will convince people on your site. So it's a 2-tier thing. It's really important. And social media sharing bar, you want people to share your page. You need to share your page. We want to create more backlinks. We want people to think that this is a great page. We want to popularize this page. So making it easy to share is really important. And then conversion elements. and a hello bar when somebody lands on your site. So this will greet somebody, this will tell them who you are and what you do, so that they know straight away they're in the right place, with a very simple call to action here in text, so that people can click it and move on. The same call to action is repeated here. Now this is a big button. This is like telling them, you know, this is getting you onto a course, or this is, you know, you can find out more, or you're filling in a form, or, you know, whatever you're doing. So you click that and you go further down right to the form area that might be on the site. And this is also a clear call to action here, the ultimate lead magnet, because it's going to advance the sale. I don't like the phrase ultimate lead magnet, it's very Americanized, but you get the idea. It's a takeaway that someone can look at in their own time. It's a how-to, it's a, you know, it's an all eye-opening white paper, if you like, to your business, so that people trust you and understand that your knowledge is sound and secure, and they'll come back to you in their own time. So that's really important. And then for those that are on the cusp of signing up right there and then, a live chat or an opt-in, so they can ask some questions, and maybe they do come back to you a few hours later or the day later, but they've had a quick look at your lead magnet, they've come back to your site, and actually they want to ask you a couple of questions. So a live chat really helps with that, because of course people can phone you, they can email you, but live chats, instant access, is more and more becoming popular. So can you implement a live chat and man it? Now, if you can't man it, if it's more off than on, there's no point doing it. But to get yourself into a position where you can have an engaging conversation with people that come to your site, it's incredibly positive and will convert people. And I think I covered all of those things. We've got a clear phone number here, and we've kind of titled that schedule a meeting. So actually, rather than call, you know, it's rather, you know, ambiguous, isn't it? You want to schedule a meeting. You want to tell people, and that's what your call to actions do as well. You're telling them exactly what they're doing, and you're directing them. Now, if you're looking at your website, it's got lots of lovely links to the content further in on different pages. It's actually something you don't want to be doing if you want an authoritative page, because people therefore have so many options, and maybe it's something of interest, but they've got so many options to click off that page to find content further in. So it's about applying relevant content to a page and directing people to your ideal call to action, so they stay on that page, and the only clicks that they do is either to fill in a form or to download something that will advance the sale, a takeaway, and they can come back at a different time. So I hope that kind of clarifies a little bit about the kind of elements that are involved in an authoritative page. You know, I would encourage things like including your mission statement, your vision, some video stuff if you've got it as well, if it's relevant to the content on that page, so it's more engaging as well. So there's lots of other different factors, and we kind of refer to our pages as authoritative, but we band them. So as people scroll, there's different bands of information that people will either find incredibly interesting, or actually, I already know your vision and I want to move on to download your freebie that advances the sale. But somebody coming to your site, another user might actually think, actually, I want to understand your vision and mission, because actually there's an alignment there. That's kind of what I believe. So I really want to use you. So we want to kind of break down barriers, be open, so people build trust quickly, but also they haven't got to click around to find that information. You're telling them you're being open, and they can scroll through your page and then ultimately get in contact with you, your ideal call to action to further the sale. So here's an example of a website that's doing incredibly well. We helped the client out a couple of years ago. It's kind of like the transition stage. So someone's been in business for a couple of years, their website's doing okay or maybe nothing for them, and actually they want to uplift, and we reflect that on their brand as well. So we'll have conversations and obviously, questionnaires and stuff. So we actually intimately know the business, and then we become your web and marketing partner, your brand specialist. So we haven't designed the logo or anything like that. This is something that Louise has had for, since she started. It's personal to her as well, which is all fine and cool. But what we've done is apply the colours consistently throughout, from a brand perspective. We've looked at the fonts and typography, so there's some consistency there. But we've also looked at her business, looked at a clear call to action. What does she want people to do? And how will people get in contact with her? So at the moment you can see what is basically above the line, slightly a little bit more, just from a visual perspective, you can see a bit more text. But above the line, you're looking at a bit like this. So she's got recommended positive training in there. Now again, it all comes back to understanding what an authoritative page does and the kind of elements on the page and how that is applicable to your target market and the information that you want people to see. So you might kind of think, well, hang on a minute, you've just said you need a hello bar. There's a hello bar here, but we didn't want to say anything. We wanted Louise to say welcome. We wanted to base it around Louise. On the previous area, we mentioned a testimonial would be great in this area. She has some wonderful testimonials further down, but actually we wanted to position her company because it was almost like a relaunch, and we wanted Louise to speak to the people landing on her site. We wanted to base the site around Louise. So I won't go into much more detail apart from excellent photography runs throughout, and every page has banded information. Her vision and mission and cultures in there, and you can go and have a look at the site if you want. In fact, if you type in Dog Training Derby, Hilton Dogs Training Academy is at position 6 currently, so you'll be able to find it there. And so we optimized the site. So we did research in Google. We looked at what keyword searches people were using to find services like hers, and we've optimized the site. So each page, so she's got home, about, what I offer. There's 4 to 6 services in there, can't quite remember. An FAQs, frequently asked section, which is a great section for you to, again, look at breaking down barriers, hurdles that people have using your services. So you can actually answer some questions in there, obvious questions that people ask. It's always a real good bonus, and it shows that you understand your target customer. You know their questions, their queries, their issues, and you can answer them. A blog, so she's always adding fresh content, and a contact page. And all of those individual pages, they're optimized for slightly different keyword search phrases. And we've got kind of like a top 4, if you like. There's every page, as I say, has a keyword search. So there's probably another, 8 to 12 keyword phrases that she's doing really well with, and on page 1 of Google. But we've done a top 4 mainly to show how this reflects in local keyword search and why it doesn't really reflect in national keyword search. So Dog Training Derby, obviously people are looking for dog training in Derby. Google's really clever, so it knows where you are, particularly if you've got location turned on your phone or you're just plugged into your internet at home. So it knows where you are. So if you just look for dog training, it will show you a list of companies that are local to you. But if you search Dog Training Derby, she'll be at position 6. We've specified her to be in Derby so that it helps to dominate that area more. So that Dog Training Derby is the main keyword phrase, which you can then see is featured in 3 other instances of keyword phrases. These are long tail keyword phrases, and there's no pun there because she does dog training. These are known as long tail keyword phrases because they include as well the main keyword phrase but additional words, and in fact they are phrases that people are searching for. So there's traffic volume here, and alone in terms of Dog Training Derby, on average between 100 and 1,000 people search for that phrase alone. So when we look at applying keyword phrases, we also provide our customers with an estimate of the combined potential new footfall into your site. And on average, we would say if you're getting some good footfall into your site, like you're getting 500 or 600 visits per month, maybe a little bit more, then we'll at least double that through organic search optimization. But the difference is that people are definitely searching for it, and then because you've had a website design uplift and your pages are more authoritative, people are more going to be engaged and they will take action. So she has found that her website has become, and what should be really, the cornerstone to her business, and all of her social media marketing and everything that she does to bring additional traction into her site means that people go to her site and are converted. So positive. So dog training Derby, she's at position 6. Positive dog training in Derby, position 1, which is awesome. One-to-one dog training Derby is position 2, and force-free dog training is position 3. So this brings in several hundred new contacts per month. National keyword search, dog training. Now you can imagine the phrase dog training in the country, incredibly competitive. If you actually think that vets will be doing it, personality dog trainers will be doing it, it would just be crazy. But also there's a lot of content on YouTube related to this subject matter, and that will always get more kudos as well. So very difficult to have such a unique, such a competitive search term and try and compete nationally. The only way that you can do that is by the content on your site and doing 1,000,001 different things in a strategy. But she doesn't need to be number 1 in the country for dog training, because she wants to kind of target the area that she operates in. So it's a nonsensical thing. But sometimes a company will come to us and say, "Oh, we want to be number 1 nationally." And unless they've got something unique, there's no reason for them to be. But equally, if they're not winning the fight on their own doorstep, locally, in their local town, in their local city, in the local county, wider afield, then why do you consider that you want to win the fight nationally? I think in my time I've probably met 2 businesses, because they are a national company, or want to be a national company. That they want to kind of dominate national listings. But from starting from 0 to dominate nationally, it is a journey. So what you want to do is to have your fight locally, and you will win it. Positive dog training, position 21. One-to-one dog training, position 8. So this is an absolute win. It's really interesting in that there's definite traction and footfall for people searching for one-to-one dog training, but yet most of her competitors are focused on dog training, and it will be because that's the kind of meta description that people will use, SEO agencies will optimize for, but they won't do the long tail ones. And the fact is that if someone is searching for one-to-one dog training, they're specifically looking for someone to help them independently with their dog. Whereas dog training can mean a host of different things. It can be obedience, it could be classes, it could be a book that you're after, it could be a whole different ball game. So when we work with a client, like if Louise wanted to go national, we would understand actually what is the traction, the likely traction with one-to-one dog training, and what is the likely traction with something like positive dog training, and what is the likely traction with other longer tail keywords to do with dog training. So we're after people that are specifically looking for those things. And it could well be that for those things, she could dominate nationally. Interesting, isn't it? So, and force-free dog training, not in the top 100. So in terms of Louise's site, Hilton Dogs Training Academy, on average, approximately 50% of their website traffic is from organic keyword searches. So that is hundreds of people that are searching for specifically the services that Hilton Dog Training offer, and they take action. They go to the site, they're engaged, and they take action. They book on her courses. This actual website, there is a book course section. This screen grab was taken a little while ago, but the site has been updated since then, and she does online training as well, which is a new revenue stream and potentially a new direction for a business. So that's kind of because of local economic, as you're aware, constraints and pressures, means that she's evolving a business. So I can help you become a website rock star. I can help you develop an authoritative website that drives inquiries. Really, honestly, just do it. There's no reason not to do it. You can be confident. You can be the business that people want to work with, and it's foolish that you don't. So if you want some help, want some advice, We offer free reports. We can have a chat over the phone. We do a free 30-minute consultation. We'll do a free report of your site, of your brands, to understand you a little bit better, a little bit deeper, to understand the potential traction into your site, and potential price points for developing something for you. And then it's up to you. You can work with us or not work with us. And we offer retainer-based services as well. So we work with clients on an ongoing basis. So some of the things that we do, like generating additional authoritative landing pages for websites, is something that we can do on an ongoing basis. We can do email marketing on an ongoing basis, social media marketing on an ongoing basis, all sorts of different things, your business listings, etc., etc. So by all means, give us a shout. So thank you for listening. It's been longer than I thought. But I hope you found it enjoyable, insightful. My name is Wayne Flynn, Mr. Flynn Creative. Thank you.